Okay, welcome back to Pachter Factor, my fellow babies. We are hopeful that you are a Patreon patron or a YouTube subscriber. If you are, then Shane is getting just enough to pay for gas to get to my house. You notice he's at my house. If you are neither of those, or even if you are doing one of those things, you have a chance to stick it to Amazon. So please stick it to Amazon. It's free if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. Do it. The instructions on how to do that are in the show description below my face. Do it. It's important. It's free money. Amazon pays Shane. You get charged nothing.
This episode of Pachter Factor is brought to you by DeShazer Ryan Realty. Right now, Doug DeShazer has beautiful lots available adjacent to Koocanusa Lake in northwest Montana. Pull up your RV and access the hookups, or build your own construction. Either way, you have access to world-class fishing, hunting, boating, swimming, biking, hiking, and the internet. No matter where you're looking to buy, make Doug DeShazer your real estate consultant at 406-291-1643. That's Doug DeShazer at 406-291-1643.
Today's question from Patreon from Tarma. Recent reports state that Xbox Series X is being outsold 3-1 by PlayStation 5. Is there anything Microsoft can do to regain ground this generation? The promise of Bethesda and Activision Blizzard has not moved the needle. Are you surprised? Given the current state of Xbox, how big of a price cut would it take to make a difference? Should Microsoft shift its focus to the cheaper Series S as a Game Pass machine? I'm not surprised. What did Sony put out recently? Was it 50 million or 70 million? I can't remember. 50, yeah. So Sony sold 50, and that 3-1 tells you that Microsoft sold about 17 or 18. That sounds right to me. Prior to that stat coming out, I would have guessed 20, so I don't think that it's really meaningfully different. The two companies, they have their installed base of fans. Sony's is bigger. Sony's dominated Europe, they've dominated Latin America, they've dominated Middle East. Microsoft's done very well in the UK and the US and Canada, and that's kind of repeating this time. So, but Microsoft's not equal with them in the US. I'm sure Sony's outselling Microsoft in the US. I think the big driver of that is the 30 million Game Pass subscriptions. And you don't need an Xbox Series box to play Game Pass. It works on a PC and it works on an Xbox One. So, by the way, it actually works without a PC or an Xbox One. They just don't broadcast that. And I think that the whole development and promotion of Game Pass was always an acknowledgement that the Xbox is a platform and not necessarily a device that you need. I think that Microsoft will be perfectly happy in a future where there are no consoles and everybody has a dumb terminal attached to the internet and attached to the cloud, and they stream all their games. Now, will that work for fast Twitch multiplayer? Probably not. It'll probably have too much latency. So you'll still need a client, a download to a client, but maybe that download is to flash memory inside the TV. Maybe that'll work someday. Maybe the download is to your internet router. Maybe we'll see a change in how memory is accessed and how memory is allocated. Maybe you download it to your PC and you somehow link your PC to your living room television without a wire. That's all doable right now. So I expect that Game Pass, that's their long game. And I think Microsoft recognized very early on this cycle, how many years has it been? It's 2020, 3.5 years ago, that the future is the cloud, and that if you don't have to sell a console, your addressable market goes from 200 million, 250 million, 300 million people who own consoles to 3 or 4 billion people who play games. That's their end game. Much like Netflix said, how many people watch TV? And the answer is 4 billion, 5 billion. So Netflix has 260 million subscribers. And by the way, most Netflix subscribers have multiple people in the household, right? So even if you use the average household of 3.5 or whatever it is, that's literally 700 or 800 million people. So 10% of the planet has a Netflix subscription. And I think Microsoft would really be happy if 10% of the planet had a Game Pass subscription. So I think that they, Satya Nadella being the architect, and Phil Spencer being the guy who's the field general and executing the vision, the strategy. I think they're trying to get 250 million Game Pass subscribers without a console. So the answer to your question is, is there anything Microsoft can do to regain ground this generation? Sure. Cancel Game Pass and cut the price of the Xbox. If they did that, if Xbox is $200 and they told every Game Pass member, we'll give you an Xbox for $20 because you've already paid for Game Pass. And by the way, if you buy Xbox, you get all of our first-party releases free. They would pass Sony like they were standing still. They just lose money, but they would do it. So if Microsoft wanted to win, Microsoft has a lot more cash than Sony. Microsoft is a multiple of the size of Sony. If they want to win the generation, they will win the generation. That is not what they're trying to do. They're trying to win the games business by offering games to 3 billion people, not to 300 million people. That's their end game. And to be honest with you, the way Game Pass is going to work is the price will drop from $15 a month to 10, and then it'll drop to 5 with ad support. And every time you load up a game, you're going to be required to watch an ad. And every time, maybe even when you finish a level, you'll be required to watch an ad. And people will tough that out. And Microsoft's going to make a ton of money. More people are going to play games, and they're going to pay less for the privilege. So I think they win. They just don't win the console generation. So no, I'm not surprised, because when I first saw Game Pass in 2017, I did not think it would work because they didn't own Bethesda. They hadn't yet bought Ninja Theory and Obsidian and Exile and all those 6 studios. They hadn't yet bought Bethesda. They hadn't yet bought Activision Blizzard. And I said, nobody will pay for a subscription service that has Halo and Fable and Gears of War. That's just not enough games in Forza. 4 games, that come every 4 years if you're lucky. 1 game a year, you'll pay $60 or $70. You won't pay $180. But now they have all that other content, and you're going to get Hellblade 2, and you're going to get Outer Worlds 2, and you're going to get Elder Scrolls 6 one of these days. You're going to get the entire Call of Duty catalog. You're going to get World of Warcraft as a part of Game Pass. Yes, they will go to 200 million subscribers. So I think that they're absolutely executing brilliantly. Not surprised. How much of a price cut makes a difference? If you look at the Xbox One, the very first one, not ONE, Xbox, it launched at 400 or 300, and the price was $149 a year later. And even then, they didn't keep up. I think you need the price to be half of the launch price. I think you need a $250 console to see a meaningful uptick in sales this far into the console cycle. And I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they care. I think they'd rather sell you a Game Pass subscription than sell you an Xbox. So that's what I think makes a difference. Should they shift their focus to a cheaper Series S as a Game Pass machine? Sure, but like I said, you don't need a console to play. I think what they should be doing is saying, if you sign up for Game Pass, we will send you a controller and a dongle. The dongle will go into a port on your TV, and the controller will work, and the controller will talk to your internet router, and you can play Game Pass with no other equipment. Anybody with the internet and a TV can play. That's the way to win. So that's what I think they're going to do. I mean, I think if a consumer believes that that not owning an Xbox hurts Microsoft, and that by virtue of being hurt on the gaming business, they're going to slow their development spend, then they may shun their games thinking they're going to support them. But Microsoft makes more money than anybody. They are literally the largest company in the world. They are a $1 trillion company. I mean, they might be second. I can't remember if they're first or second, but they're right there. And they're a $1 trillion company because everything in that business, not just Game Pass, but all the Windows and cloud is working. So Microsoft's not going anywhere. And if Microsoft's vision is we can take Game Pass from 30 million subscribers to 230 million subscribers, what's the incremental cost of development? Not very much. So if your subscription revenue goes up 7 or 8x and your cost of development is constant, all that subscription revenue is free money, is profit. The answer is, if they can go to 230 million subscribers, they'll spend twice as much on development, and they'll have amazing games. Look at Netflix. They got to critical mass at around 150 million subscribers, and they were able to double their production budget, and now they have more content than anybody, and they're minting money. They make a ton of money. That's going to be Microsoft. So I really expect that Microsoft's going to be so profitable from this business that they will plow it back into development. And I think Phil is doing a phenomenal job. I think the gamer perception that they lost to Sony is just wrong, but they can believe it. If you they lost in the console battle, and if that's how you measure your worth, that you've got to sell more consoles or you suck, great. If the answer is who's more profitable, Microsoft by 10x or 100x. Instead of, if you don't own an Xbox, you're not buying Halo or Gears or Forza, right? But if you buy Game Pass, you can play Halo, Gears, Forza, Call of Duty. I mean, eventually they have to get all the rights to all that. So Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and everything else. So, and Hellblade 2 and Outer Worlds 2 and, Elder Scrolls 2, so Elder Scrolls 6. So you're going to get so much content. You might not care about it, but if you do care about playing some of that content, why not subscribe to Game Pass? And will it be available on your PlayStation? I mean, eventually it will be. Maybe Sony will block it, but if it's on your TV, do you give? If you're playing through your PlayStation, you're playing through your TV? No. So I think Microsoft is perfectly happy if you own a PlayStation and you're a Game Pass subscriber, and so you own your PlayStation and play Last of Us Remastered, and play Days Gone, and play what's the next Kojima game, whatever, like, fine. I forget, he named it, I forgot what it's called, but yeah, I mean, I think everybody wins if you can play all content, and you can own a PlayStation and still play all content. So that's coming. That is going to happen, and Microsoft doesn't care. They're willing to share. I mean, Microsoft is thinking about this the way McDonald's thinks about KFC. They don't care if you eat at KFC occasionally, as long as you eat at McDonald's too. Microsoft wants you to go have your PlayStation, enjoy The Last of Us, and have your Game Pass subscription and enjoy, Call of Duty. That's where they're headed. And I think that's the right answer. Okay, I'm going to make another plug for Amazon Prime and Twitch Prime. If you're a Patreon patron or not, if you're a YouTube subscriber or not, you can still link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account, so do it. Amazon pays. Stick it to Amazon. It's free money. You have already paid for that. Make them give that money to Shane because it's free, and they will pay Shane, and it costs you nothing. If you don't want to stick it to the man, I don't know what's wrong with you. Anyway, thank you for joining us on this week's Pachter Factor. We will see you next time.